උත්සාහ කළේ උදේශකයන්ට ඒ සම්බන්ධයෙන් මාතෘකා සපයනකොට තමන් විශ්වාස කරන තමන්ගේ රංග කලාව මොකක්ද තමන්ගේ භාවිතය මොකක්ද කියන එක පිළිබඳව අදහස් දක්වන්නටයි ඒ සඳහා අපි ගෞරවයෙන් ආරාධනා කරනවා නාට්‍ය අනුමණ්ඩලයේ සමාජිකයෙකු ලෙස කටයුතු කරන ලේකම්වරයා ලෙස කටයුතු කරන ජේක් ඔබට ජේක් ඔලොෆ් නාට්‍යශිල්පියාට ඉංග්‍රීසි භාෂෙන් සහ සිංහල භාෂෙන් දෙකෙන්ම ඔහුගේ ඉදිරිපත් කිරීම සිදු කරයි.
Good morning. අද මගේ අදහස් කිව්ව විදිහට ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා. I'm very honored to be up here together with not more than four very significant people from the theatre in Sri Lanka. Mr. Sunil Vijayasewardena referred to certain aspects or concepts in this year's message. And just as I was coming forward, he said one thing that he missed out was the idea of going beyond the idea of space and time, to be able to reimagine these ideas, space and time, as it exists in the theatre, but then also beyond that. And that's a very interesting idea for me to start on in terms of how contemporary theatre practitioners approach theatre making and the traditional understandings of time and space in traditional theatre or postmodern theatre, and some of the tools or the materials that have become space and time in contemporary theatre making. But before I do that, I'm also going to respond to something that is in the message, the idea of women in theatre. And when I look up here and see 5 or 6 men, I'm reminded of this fact that the space for women in theatre is something that is still very, very, very limited. If you think of Sri Lankan playwriting, starting from Sarachandra and even before that with Dialog Hutch and all of that, but we have to acknowledge that there have been very few Sri Lankan female playwrights. Similarly, when you look at the contemporary theatre, I think the English theatre is a little ahead of the Sinhalese theatre and the Tamil theatre, but very few female playwrights, female directors, female choreographers working in the small industry that we have here. Today I feel the need to say that this is the last time I will sit on a panel or a head table that is all male. Hereafter, when I am invited, I will ask the organizers if there is a female, and if there isn't, I will decline the invitation. And I hope some of my colleagues will do the same thing. As a playwright and a theatre director working in the contemporary theatre, but also approaching theatre making in the contemporary context, we have to acknowledge the need to question even the established norms of the theatre. And while we hold theatre in such esteem, if we are to breathe new life to it, and if it is to continue to the next generation and the generations after that, we have to question certain concepts, certain structures within the theatre, including the idea of democracy, the idea of space, the idea of a community of practitioners but also audiences, understanding the limitations of the form and how we work with those limitations to make original expressions that challenge the status quo but also challenge our own biases. We live in a time where politically, socioeconomically, the idea of the human being is continuously degraded. The idea of machines, the idea of gain, as Mr. Sunil Vijayasivandhu mentioned, the idea of taking things or possessing things, valuing people as things, going beyond the understanding of human vulnerability and commodifying the concept of humans. Humans are no longer humans, they are numbers, usually in electoral lists, in death lists, when conflicts happen, when beautification of cities happen, when people are displaced, when tourism happens, how many numbers do we attract in a particular year? So we have all become numbers, and the idea of human beings being, interacting, living fulfilled lives that are sensitive to the other beings around us are increasingly devalued. So the idea of dehumanizing society is something that has happened consistently and in a strategic way, so that the decisions that are made on behalf of us happen without any challenge. And that, I think, is the challenge for art in the next century. To be able to fight these serious challenges to the very idea of being human. With that, I end my small talk and make space for the others. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jake.